Hi, welcome to Classic Car Cave. If this is the first time you've watched this channel, my channel is basically, or 90%, 95% on car restoration and projects and stuff we do in the house and garden. But due to an oversight on my part, some steel pieces or some metal that I'm trying to buy, I couldn't get today and can't get till Friday because unfortunately they're digging up the road and there's a diversion. So I thought I'd pop this up. As I've just come back from Dubai a couple of days ago, my wife goes there for business, and I go out there with her and accompany her for a holiday. But she's been going to Dubai for around about 35, 36 years, and I've been going for about 30, 31 years. I worked in the oil business and my wife looks after exhibitions, mainly in Dubai. Anyway, so I thought what I'd do is give you a little bit of a heads up for people that are going to Dubai for the very first time. So basically it's top 10 tips that I'd like to pass over, which I think is actually better than some of the ones that you'll get in some of these travel things, because they'll just tell you about the nice stuff. So these are things to try and help you if you're going there the first time. If you've been to Dubai before, I wouldn't bother watching because you probably already know this. Although there are a couple of updates which might surprise you if you have been to Dubai before. So the first one I want to go over, sorry, I have to wear my glasses because I'm an old man. So the first thing I wanted to mention is when you go into Dubai, it's not a dry country as in no alcohol, like obviously Saudi and places like that are. But you can drink, you can go to bars, you can go to shops or whatever, but you cannot buy alcohol over the counter. You have to be a resident and you need a license for that. So when you go to Dubai, when you come through customs, don't buy anything at duty free where you're coming from. Go through the passport control, customs, and then when you pick up your baggage, just as you're going out the airport, before you go out the airport, you'll see a massive duty free shop. You can go in there and buy cases of Heineken or Tiger, whatever you want, vodka, whiskey, martini, whatever. And as long as you're reasonable with it, they'll make sure that it all goes into plastic bags so it can't be seen. And the way to do it is, if you're going to Dubai, try and pack a case that's not got so much in it so you can put the stuff in it. They will put it in plastic bags anyway. And you're basically unlimited as long as you don't go over the top. And obviously you don't want to be getting off the plane half pissed and making a fool of yourself, because then they will stop you. If you're smart about it, take the booze with you from there, from the duty free, and then you can take it to wherever you are and you can have a drink in a hotel room, or if you're renting an apartment. That's the way to go. Second tip, things have changed quite a bit in Dubai with the taxi situation. You can hail a taxi anywhere if you can get it to stop. Normally if the lights are on, it means you can hail them. But what has happened in the last few months or last 6 months is it's very difficult now, unless you have the app or unless you're a resident of Dubai, to actually stop to call a taxi. They want to know where you live, where you're from, and it's not for information for the government, not government, but for the municipality. It's actually because the main two taxi companies that were in Dubai many years ago want a cut of the action. So every time you use an app, they can see it's been used and they can get money back from it. This is what's going on. So even if you're in a hotel as a tourist, they won't call a taxi for you. This is just changed recently. This has only happened to us. This is the first time. And we actually got a resident to do it for us, an expat resident. So if you can hail a taxi as easy as you can, if you can get one, it's getting more and more difficult. But I'll go on to that later on in these tips about the way to get around Dubai. So, and be very careful if taxis, you'll see taxis that have no taxi sign on them because they're metered, the taxis. You see one without and it stops and says it'll take you somewhere, agree a price and I can guarantee you it'll be 3 times what the normal run would be. So if it's 30 dirhams, it'll cost you 100 plus. But be careful with them. They call them limousines. And they're not on a meter, so they can charge what they like, but agree with them beforehand, and so you know exactly what you're up for. Tip number 3, it's very expensive, Dubai. Now, to go out and eat and top end, you're talking a lot of money, very expensive, even compared to Europe. It's extremely expensive, probably double, if not more. So if you're going to a really nice restaurant, or you're going to a restaurant where there's a big feature like the Burj Khalifa, to the fountains there's a company there called the Meat Company, does excellent food, but you're talking about 120, 130 euros with a couple of beers per person, so it's not cheap. And then if you go high-end out towards Burj Al Arab or something like that, or along the seafront, you're talking big money. We had a meal out there that was in excess of 650 euros for 4 people, and that was with one drink each. So alcohol is expensive to eat outside, and so. But what they do have, and it's massive in Dubai, is they have lots and lots of, takeaways, Indian, Chinese, you name it. They've got it there. And one of the biggest things right now is this kind of Deliveroo thing, where they bring it to your apartment or whatever. I don't know if you can actually pick this stuff up and have it brought to a hotel room. I don't know if that's we haven't used a hotel for many years, because we always rent an apartment when we're out there. You can eat out very reasonably if you go into these little chicken shops or kebab shops or whatever. But if you want to go kind of high-end, be prepared to spend a lot of money, and you need to check the menus. So one good thing about Dubai is because the VAT is quite low, although there are now municipality charges. I think it's 5% VAT, 7% municipality charges and bits and pieces. So it has gone up. It was 0 before, but you can still get some good buys. Now, I haven't put anything up on a video on this yet, but I will be, because I've just bought one of these DJI drones, and this is the DJI Mini 2 combo, which comes with obviously the drone, 3 batteries, and obviously your controller. Now, I'll be putting a video up on this, later on when I get used to flying it. I've flown it twice, and it was absolutely the easiest thing. I was really scared about using it, thinking it would go off somewhere, but it works brilliantly. But going back to it, electronic stuff, you can buy stuff and you'll get it quite a bit cheaper. I believe that this particular model right now, even on Amazon, it was still about 50, 60 euros cheaper than it was at the lowest price Amazon could do it. So sometimes with electronic stuff, you can find bits and pieces, camera equipment, and because the tax is low, you can bring them back with you. So it's something to think about, while you're there in Dubai. Okay, because I'm a bit of a petrol head. I enjoy driving cars. I enjoy restoring them, but I enjoy driving them as well. Now, I've driven at the Dubai Autodrome many times. I've probably driven the single-seater race cars, which are like a Formula Ford, probably half a dozen times, if not more. I've also used the circuit, which is an F1 circuit, but it's never been used as an F1. Driving all different cars. The last time I was there, just last week, I drove a BMW M3, a new BMW M3 competition car. It didn't have slick wheels on it or anything like that, but it was really good. The only problem is I didn't book until we got there, and the only session I could get was a night session. So what I would definitely say is avoid the night drives, because it's the circuit, the start and finish is great. It's well lit, but around the back of the track it's not well lit at all. So I would say avoid it whatever you do. If you want to do it, I would book in advance before you go, so you can get a date, so you can get the drive during the day. But what you can do as well is you can also go to Yas Island, where obviously the last F1 is done, and you can drive there. And in fact, it's a couple of $100 cheaper, and they have some really nice cars, and you get to drive on a used F1 circuit through the hotel and so on. They have Ferraris, all sorts of stuff, and single-seater Formula 3 cars, and it's cheaper. The downside would be you have to go towards Abu Dhabi to hit Yas Island first before you hit Abu Dhabi. So getting there would be an issue, and the price of getting there, because renting a car is a nightmare in the UAE. Well, the sixth tip I want to make is, you will find that certain times of the seasons, there's basically 2 seasons. There's a hot season and a very hot season. And you will find that when it's very hot and all the expats who live there are trying to get back out to wherever they live in the world, they'll do good prices. Now, they'll do reasonably good flight prices, even though flights have gone up ridiculously. And they do good accommodation prices. So it makes it seem like it's a really cheap holiday. But please be warned, it's a very expensive place to stay in. As I said, unless you're doing it on you're eating budget foods or you're going to little small places, it's an extremely expensive place, and you will end up, if you're in a hotel or whatever, you will end up with a bar bill that will make your head spin. So what I would say to you is be careful about when you go, and then of course being extremely hot as well. You know, that problems come along with that. It's very difficult to get around the place by foot. In fact, unless you're in a kind of main area, like where the fountains are, or something like that, there's very few paths to walk around. So you be careful when you're there. Number 7, WhatsApp. WhatsApp does not work in Dubai. You can use WhatsApp text, and you can send a one-way message, voice message, but you cannot use WhatsApp video. And you cannot use WhatsApp even to talk to each other backwards and forwards. I don't know the reason that this is. I have a feeling it's something that you can use Zoom and some other ones, and I think it's because they have some kind of connection with Zoom. The local telecommunications in the Emirates is called Etisalat, and I guess they've got, I don't know this, I'm just assuming that they've got some kind of tie-up with Zoom or some of the other ones, but WhatsApp you can text, send a voice message and get one back, but you cannot speak backwards and forwards, and you cannot video. So be aware of that before you go. Shopping in Dubai, there's lots, it's made for shopping, it's kind of like Paris. There's the Dubai Mall and the Mall of the Emirates. Dubai Mall is probably one of the biggest indoor spaces in the world to shop. It's massive, absolutely massive. But bear in mind there are times when it gets busier. So people tend to come out in Dubai, certainly the locals, the Emiratis, they come out later in the day when it's cooler. They're used to this heat, so going in the morning is not really for them, or certainly the height of the afternoon. But they are well air conditioned, in fact over air conditioned. So you think about it when you're going there for times, and there's also Waitrose and supermarkets and Carrefour and so on and so forth. So you can get all the things that you could get either in the UK or America or wherever, obviously limited in some ways, but think about what time you go out, because you'll find it's either very, very mobbed or it's quiet. If you go obviously to the top end shops, the Gucci's and so on, there's very few people. There's people window shopping, but very few people buying. Conversely, in the other side where the supermarkets are and the down, I don't want to say down, but the lower grade shops, if you like, will be full, and it's like going through a football crowd. We're on to number 9, one more to go. They have a transit system in Dubai called the Metro. This is a driverless electric trains. They're very, very frequent, every two minutes or so, and it works extremely well, and it'll get you to most main points in Dubai. It's much quicker than a taxi. What you can buy, it's the only mass transit system I know that has a class system. So it has the gold card, so you buy the card at the station, and then you can top it up as much as you want with how many dirhams you want on it. And this allows you to go into the front of the train or the back end of the train. And then they have another compartment for women and children only, and then the rest is for everybody. But it gets extremely crowded. You can imagine there's a lot of itinerant workers there, and it gets absolutely mobbed. So if you can, pay that little bit extra and buy the gold Metro card, which will give you at least a place to sit down, or it won't be overcrowded like the main cabin, the main parts of the train will be. But the Metro works extremely well, and it, so, as I say, it goes right out to the airport, it goes right to the centre of town and out to all the main malls, all the souks, Mall of the Emirates, everywhere you want to go pretty much you can get on the Metro. Okay, so we're here at number 10. So the very last thing is, if you're buying something in Dubai, you can claim the VAT back when you go to the airport. So be careful when you do this, because if you go into the airport before you check in, if you have the items in your main luggage and you check in, they may ask, they may and they may not. In this particular occasion this year, they did ask to see at least one of the items or two of the items that we had for VAT, and we'd already put them in through on the baggage on the weight scale to go through, and so we couldn't get the VAT back. So if you're going to try and get VAT before you go in, do it before you put your bags in, so you can at least show them the items if they ask. If you then go inside and try and claim VAT inside the airport, you're going to have it in hand luggage, because they might want to see what it is you've got but you can claim the VAT back if you get a proper document or a proper receipt. So that's it. I hope these little tips will come in handy. After all the years we've been going to Dubai, and as I said, my wife and I used it a lot. I've also used it as a hub when I used to work in Saudi and Yemen and all over the place, Africa, you name it. And she's, as I say, she's been using it. At one time we were going 6 times a year, but I was using it as a hub on a general, even Abu Dhabi, where I lived for some years as well. So I know the area quite well. When we first went, the World Trade Center, which is near the apartments where we rent every year, was the tallest building in the whole of the Emirates. And Sheikh Zayed Road was 2 lanes up and down. Now I think it's 8 lanes on each side. So there's been a massive change, but it's getting very, very expensive. So just be careful and think about, as I say, the cheap flight might look good and the accommodation might look good, but be careful what you spend there, because it'll be very, very expensive. It's anything from 12 to 15 pounds for a pint of beer. So you can see how quickly it would add up. Anyway, we'll be back to normal once I can get the metal for the work on the 1930 Citroen. And I just thought I'd pop this up because I can't do anything till Friday. So as usual, stay safe, keep the faith, enjoy your hobby, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.